It's the first of 6 mountaintop finishes at this year's Giro d'Italia, and a 162-kilometer stage altogether from the town of Padua that is just west of Venice, and from there just about due north as the riders go up to the ski station and a 14-kilometer climb to finish off stage number 4 at San Martino di Castrozza. And the spectacular scenery of the Dolomite Mountains awaits the riders as day number 4 of the 100th anniversary Giro d'Italia gets underway on Universal Sports. Hi everyone, Steve Schlanger with Todd Gogulski. Glad to have you with us as the Giro rolls along, and it rolled out of Padua earlier today. The town that considers itself the oldest town in northern Italy, also has the largest public square. Huge send-off for the riders, and among the favorites for the day, Astana teammates Lance Armstrong and Levi Leipheimer, who we caught up with a moment ago.
Well, it's I don't feel a ton of pressure, but it'll be interesting. I think the race will be hard from the very beginning. And I think on the first climb, the first difficult climb, they're going to go. So we'll know quickly.
Well, there's going to be some surprises, who's strong and who's not, and it's going to be hard. I think the race is going to start already on the climb before, so for sure it's going to be explosive.
How are the legs today? How are you feeling?
I hope good. They were good yesterday, so I hope they're even better today.
Who do you think the main rivals are now for GC at the early stages of the Giro?
For sure, Basso's a big favorite. De Luca looks strong. Garzelli looks strong. These are all previous Giro winners, so it's really a no-brainer to call those guys out.
Well, both Lance and Levi certainly within striking distance. Lance only a half minute off the GC lead. Levi Leipheimer about 44 seconds off the pace. Two guys certainly to keep an eye on as the road goes up for the first time for our first summit finish of this year's Giro today in the Dolomites. Ivan Basso mentioned as a favorite, also just a little over a minute back. Well, the man of the last 2 days, Alessandro Petacchi, wearing pink for the 7th time in his career today, coming off the 9th win of his season yesterday. But Todd, he's already struggling today. He's been dropped, as you see Petacchi struggling near the back early in the stage.
Well, and 2 stage wins to his credit, and now he's back in the caravan early in the day. That's not unheard of for a man like this in the mountains.
As far as the profile and the elevation that the riders will face today, 2 big mountains, the first of which is the Croce d'Aune, which is starting at 51 kilometers to go until the finish. And look at that gradient, almost 8% on average. And that is the shorter but steeper of the 2 climbs. That second climb, San Martino di Castrozza, it's more gentle in a gradient overall, but it does have a steeper finish as you make your way up to the line itself. And the green line we saw a moment ago, an indication as to where the race is right now. And let's get you caught up. We have a breakaway group of 6 riders who went clear at 14 kilometers into the stage, and now we have 80K left to ride overall. And at the moment they're enjoying their largest lead of the day over the peloton at 7 minutes. We've got Francesco De Bonis of the Diqui Giovanni team. He's out there in the break along with the veteran from Saxo Bank, Jens Voigt, Serafina Martinez Acevedo, the Spaniard, who's almost 7 minutes back on GC, is in the break as well. The rider from Great Britain, Ian Stannard, Francesco Bellotti of the Barlow World team, and Davide Vigano, the Italian for Fuji Cerveto. Those are the 6 riders, 7 minutes up the road, and this is the peloton, not in pursuit mode as of yet.
Not as of yet, but when they get to these climbs, as things get closer to the finish, this is going to heat up quite a bit as all the climbers and the guys who have any chance of doing anything in the overall classification have been thinking about this day since day 1. It's the first time the roads start to go uphill, and we have a nice finishing climb where the climbers are going to have to start to distinguish themselves today, Steve.
And Danilo De Luca's team, the LPR brake squad, is leading the peloton at the moment. They're sitting out front. De Luca, of course, the 2007 winner of the Giro, and a guy who could be a contender for the stage win here today, because the finish does favor a more aggressive rider. That's certainly the type of rider that De Luca is. And now we take you up to our leaders at the head of the race right now. That is Jens Voigt with the Saxo Bank team riding out front. And for Jens, no surprise to see him in a break early. The German at 3:47 back on GC. He's won a stage of the Giro before, and he's got some company here today. But a lot of these other riders also well back on the general classification. They won't be a threat, and we'll have to see how long they last on this day that is going to get very grueling in just a short while. The first 40K or so, pretty flat, but then once we get into the final 60K or so of racing, this is really going to sort things out.
Yeah, this early breakaway move, pretty typical on a day like this. The thing is, can they get enough of an advantage to actually hold on all the way to the finish, as we have these two categorized climbs, the Cat 2 coming up first, and then finally on the Category 1. So tough day in the saddle today, and certainly these guys want to do a little chasing of those special opportunities today. And there's Lance Armstrong right there in the middle of your screen.
Lance riding over his first European mountain pass in a Grand Tour since July of 2005 when he climbed the Col de Bisque in the Tour de France. And Lance sitting at 31 seconds behind our leader on GC. Levi Leipheimer was positioned just behind him as well. Lance looking very good so far in this year's Giro d'Italia, but a big X factor. You just don't know how Lance is going to perform here in the mountains. It's been so long, but that's what makes this year's race so exciting. So many of those variables, so many unpredictable qualities, but a selection could be made today as you look at the LPR team lined up on the front, trying to position Danilo De Luca for a chance at today's stage number 4. The mountains are here at the Giro.
This is by far the biggest dream that anybody could ever imagine.
After 2 years of retirement, Todd Lodwick returned to the Nordic Combined for one reason.
I knew that it was going to be a very, very hard competition.
To win gold.
And that's going to be it. I am world champion today.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
Retailers don't want you to see the information about to be disclosed.
Hi, I'm Tony Galata. This is my wife, Carrie Galata. This is our house, my wife's dream house. And we furnish most everything in this house with products from Direct Buy. We purchased the breakfast table and chairs. We looked at that table in some other places.
They ran around $3,500 and we picked it up for around $1,500.
If you're building, remodeling, or simply redecorating a room, there's now a way to buy virtually everything you need at prices you never imagined possible.
We've saved, I think, well over $20,000.
Just on our kitchen alone, we saved almost $10,000.
It adds up to about a $30,000 to $40,000 savings overall.
Call the number on your screen now to receive your free insider's guide to buying direct. Plus, you'll also receive a free visitor's pass for an exclusive tour of your local Direct Buy showroom. Call right now to get started buying the Direct Buy way. Stop paying retail and become part of Direct Buy, the private members-only showroom and design center. Don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call now.
Explore new worlds. Read. Visit literacy.gov.
It's just simple.
All you need is 1 part Cobric.
That's good.
Need some Kirk.
In just a minute.
1 part Kim.
Here's your Kim. I know, but in just a minute.
Our secret ingredient, essence of Kathy Sage.
That's perfect.
We need some Kirk.
Absolutely. Now, just a little bit. Okay, a little bit of Kirk goes a long way, all right? Just a little bit, all right?
More Kirk.
Kirk. Too much Kirk? Too much Kirk.
You're in Charge as U.S. Senate candidate Ken Buck and possible gubernatorial candidate Scott McInnes join us. We ask your questions, so send us an email at yourshow@9news.com. Each week, it's your topics and questions that lead to your show.
Traffic Line from 9 News has a new number. For real-time Denver Metro traffic info, call 866-737-7341. The new Traffic Line from 9 News.
Of Venice. And look at that, a little cyclocross action as the huge group of riders in the peloton tries to squeeze through the narrow streets of the town. And just outside of the town itself is where this climb is going to begin in earnest, the Croce d'Aune, as the riders are just about 50 kilometers or so to go to the finish of today's stage number 4 right now. There you see the 50K to go banner as the crowd greets them in town and now sees them off. These are our 6 leaders, still with a healthy lead on the main field.
And a group of 6 here just trying to make sure they stay real smooth. They're getting a lot of sustenance right now. They're 8 kilometers from the top of this King of the Mountain. So that means they are basically just starting in the very bottom portion of it. And right there, second wheel, Jens Voigt, the breakaway specialist, is one of these men who knows that he really can't win this if he tries to outclimb the climbers at the end. If he comes to the bottom of the finishing 5K with the best climbers, they're going to drop him. So he has to get away and do some sort of a big move and get to that final climb with a gap. And that's what all these guys in this breakaway are looking for.
Our leaders, 6 up the road on the lower slopes of the Croce d'Aunay, and this climb is steepest at the bottom. There's between an 8 and 10% grade for the first 4K. The final 4.5 kilometers are at about 7.5%. The climb, not that long overall, only 8.5K in length, gaining 675 meters in elevation. And look at this. Check this out. The Barlow World squad.
Looks like some riders.
Oh, and a crash with a Lamprey rider who's gone down as well.
And holding the shoulder, that's usually a bad sign.
Mauro D'Alto. Now a crash happening somewhere, and you saw one of the Barlow World riders getting a wheel from a teammate. No, holding the shoulder is never a good sign. That usually means that his race is over.
He really does not look like he's in a good situation right now. Can't tell if that's a doctor or a random spectator there looking him over, but the collarbone looking not too good here for Lamprey. And
well, remember yesterday we saw Christian Van de Velde go down in a crash. He broke a couple of ribs, sustained a contusion on his back, and he had to abandon the race. Is still in Italy before being transported back to Spain. That'll occur later on tonight, and then he'll have more tests done to see exactly the extent of his injuries. So we're losing some riders here over the course of the first few days. Really no surprise, as there's a lot of aggressive racing, especially when you come through the narrow streets of a town like this. Riders trying to position themselves for the bottom of a big climb.
And
now take a look again.
Overhead look here right on the left side of the road as we see several riders getting caught up in that. And it looks like he's back on his bike, Steve. So not really pedaling, though, but he is holding on to the bars with the right shoulder. Kind of surprising.
Well, and holding onto his shoulder with his left hand for a moment. Oh, that's such a tough feeling. Knowing you're hurt, to get back up on the bike, knowing you've also lost a lot of time. And now a little splintering going on, it looks like, among our leaders as the main field is onto the lower slopes now of the Croce d'Aunay.
Man drifting off the back of that lead group of 6 was Ian Stannard, the British rider on the ISD squad. So looking like his time is limited, but we still have back here at the front the LPR squad.
Now Pataki, who's made it back to join his teammates after getting dropped earlier. So liquid gas is there, LPR near the front. So Basso, who has some time to make up on GC, making sure that he's going to be well positioned near the front, as again everybody tries to funnel through these narrow streets that gets them out onto the climb. Now we saw yesterday in the final 20K how the race came to a standstill with a crash in some narrow sections. That cost Mark Cavendish the pink jersey. He was caught behind the leaders and was never able to get back up, and instead of spending another day in pink, he was dropped.
And no chance to win the stage either. And now it looks like our lead group is down to 3 with Voigt on the front.
Now Jens Voigt, number 202, the German for the Saxo Bank team. Francesco Bellotti is the rider in the red and white for Barlow World, the Italian.
And it was Francesco De Bonis of Italy on the Di Qui Giovanni squad in the third wheel. So those are our 3 survivors out front now. The lead down to 5:48, but still a substantial lead as these guys giving it a serious go out front.
Now the green jersey for Mauro Facchi of Quick-Step, indicating he's the leader in the King of the Mountains classification, as opposed to the Tour de France, where it's a polka dot jersey. Here at the Giro, the King of the Mountains leader wears a green jersey. Facchi took that yesterday, and there are 2 King of the Mountains points on today's stage number 4 at the top of the Cat 2.
And always nice to see the help of the overall race leader on a day when he knows he is going to get shelled. So he's doing some work now while he still can contribute to his team. They have all their eggs in the basket of DeLuca today, trying to do something big, as if finally he has a chance to potentially shine. And there's our early race overall leader and first man across the line in the team time trial, Mark Cavendish. Has certainly gone through some tough couple of days here.
Yeah, well, he's missed out. He was beaten by Cavendish in the sprint on stage number 2. Or I should say Cavendish was beaten by Pataki, who came around him at the end of stage 2. And then Pataki also got the win yesterday because Cavendish, as we mentioned a moment ago, was caught up in that crash, never made it back on. So Cavendish has not had the type of start that he's wanted here to this year's Giro, as Jens Voigt still looking strong. And, well, he's the biggest danger among the breakaway riders, and it's classic Jens trying to go away, stay away, possibly steal the stage when all of the GC hopefuls had this one pegged as perhaps their first day to slip in to the pink jersey. Tight, twisty, narrow roads on the first major climb of this year's Giro d'Italia, the main field on the slopes of the Croce d'Aune.
In pursuit of the World Cup title for the second time.
It was a really tough season, but in the overall is one of the toughest things to do.
Whoa, that was scary.
It was an exclamation point on my victories.
Coming to the bottom of the hill.
Lindsey Vonn moves into first.
I feel really lucky to be able to have won it twice now.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
Here's a special free offer for men who are losing their hair.
My hair always looks great, and I feel great.
If you want to look better, if you want to feel better about yourself, Hair Club is the way to go.
Men, you know that getting your hair back will make you look good and improve your self-confidence like no diet or exercise program. It's a proven fact that having a thicker, fuller head of hair makes you look and feel younger, healthier, and sexier. You can get your hair back just by calling Hair Club. Call now.
I'm 52, and I look better now than I did when I was in my 40s.
Becoming a member of Hair Club for Men is the best investment in my career I've ever made.
Hair Club offers all proven hair loss solutions, including surgical and non-surgical options, available through our network of physicians. With more than 500,000 success stories over the last 30 years, Hair Club can also help you get your hair back. Invest in yourself. Call now.
What separates us from all the other hair loss companies is that only Hair Club provides all the proven technologies and solutions for hair loss that are available.
The reason why I went to Hair Club was because of the great quality of work, the experience of the doctors and the medical staff, and the great patient care. They really took care of me, and the results are fantastic.
When you call right now to book your free, no-obligation consultation, we'll also give you a microscopic hair and scalp analysis, a $250 value absolutely free. We'll measure the extent of your hair loss, explain what causes hair loss, and our hair loss experts will show you all the tested, proven solutions we offer.
I'm very happy that I have a full head of hair. I feel healthy and great, and it's the best decision I've ever made.
Hair Club is the only company that can offer you a customized solution based on your unique type of hair loss. Get the look you want that women love. If you want to look younger, feel better, and get a full head of hair again, call Hair Club today.
I wish I would have done this 20 years ago. It's so worth it.
Call them. Just call Hair Club. Hair Club has worked wonders for me.
Why wait? Call now for your free information kit and find out how you can get your hair back. The call is free. The information is free. The consultation is free. Why wait? Call now. Takes a special kind of viewer to a news station.
It never fails. Right at 7 o'clock on the dot, people are pulling through.
I'd rather give to 9 News and the people who need it.
You helped feed Colorado, giving nearly 200 tons of food. Those donated pencils and notebooks made all the difference. You made business thrive in our state. 90,000 of you took that first step to living a healthier life. Helped save lives just by making a buddy, all while honoring who you did it for. You've proven that the classroom is more important than we ever thought. You have shown us the future is brighter than we'd ever imagined. You've stopped criminals before they even got a chance to strike, helped save your planet and your money all in one stop. You and 9 News, inspiring Colorado.
The peloton on the slopes of the Croce Daune, a climb that averages almost 8% in its gradient and does include a brief section of 12%. And there is Pataki hanging tough.
Pataki there, after doing some work in the bottom of that slope for his teammates, he is now getting sent to the back as his work for the day is done. But he certainly had 2 great stage victories so far.
Now, as the peloton continues on the climb, let's take you back to yesterday for just a moment. Of course, we mentioned at the top of the broadcast how Christian Vande Velde of the Garmin Slipstream team went down in a crash. He was taken to a hospital and has abandoned the race. He is still in Italy right now. Will fly home to Girona, Spain later on tonight and will be evaluated further. Christian joins us now here on the telecast. And Christian, first of all, let's get this out of the way right off the bat. How are you feeling at the moment?
I'm doing okay. I'm leaps and bounds better than I was yesterday, which was really bad. And I'd be lying if I wasn't pretty scared about what was going on. But it seems like my body's starting to stabilize a little bit now. I'm feeling a little bit better today.
Christian, we noticed yesterday it looked like Zabriskie stopped with you and just checked in with you at the crash, and you were writhing in pain on the ground, and you basically told him, "Go ahead, don't wait for me."
Yeah, Zabriskie's my boy. I love him, and I always would stop for him, and obviously vice versa. So he knows what it's like, and I think the people who know what's going on and have been there always will stop for people. So, and I really appreciate that. But yeah, I was like, they just going. I don't have a glimmer of hope of jumping back on my bike at this point in time.
So it was pretty obvious to you, and at this point, the word we've heard is potentially a couple of cracked ribs and just a sprained or strained back, but do you know anything more than that to tell us?
No, yeah, it's not potential. It's for sure broken ribs, but yeah, the other things are yet to be seen. I'm going to go to Girona and get an MRI tomorrow morning, and then that will show, I'm sure, all the muscle tissue or the tissue damage that has been done.
So, Christian, before you get a full evaluation in terms of the extent of your injuries and can get an idea of when you can start training again, do you have any idea how this is going to affect you for the Tour de France at this point?
Not at all, but like already it's a huge difference. If you would ask me yesterday, I would say I'm done. That's it. And then today I'm like walking around and going and having lunch and stuff like that. So it's already night and day. So I think this injury is going to be. It's going to be a little bit of a kink. I'm definitely going to have to take it really easy for the next week or so, as of right now. But really, it's not fair to say until I really get that MRI done tomorrow.
Now, with our 6 leaders here, 5 minutes 40 seconds in front of the main field, climbing the Croce Daune, first significant climb of this year's Giro d'Italia. We're with Christian Vande Velde, the Garmin Slipstream rider who abandoned the race yesterday after a crash. Christian, I guess after a couple of days, you'll get a chance to perhaps settle in and watch this race unfold on TV. Now that you're gone, who do you like for the podium once you get to Rome?
The podium, I still like Levi a lot for the podium as far as Americans go. I think he's riding really good, and I think if anything he might ride himself into form. His engine is getting better and better, and as long as the weather's good, I think, and luck is on his side, I think he'll ride great for the podium. And then, of course, Ivan Basso, and my dark horse is Michel Scarponi. I like him a lot.
Well, how about Lance? Obviously, his first Grand Tour now in almost 4 years. How is Lance doing? How much do you have a chance to talk to him? And what are his prospects, do you think?
I talked to Lance a bit last 2 days, and I had a good time talking with him. He definitely has the best stories I've ever heard in my life. So it's always fun to talk with him. But Lance, I think he's definitely playing down his chances for this tour. And yeah, he's very fit. There's no doubt about that. But as far as getting on the podium, that's completely different.
So as you ride with Lance, Christian, and obviously you haven't been in the peloton with him for years, and nobody has really had the chance to ride with him for several years, does he still seem like the old Lance to you? Does he still have that amazing tactical ability? Does he still seem as comfortable on the bike, the way he moves through the pack? And what about all the young guys that never raced against him before? Does he have to fight for position a little bit more? How have things changed with him in the pack?
You know, I really didn't get too much of a view of that. I mean, I saw the first day, and I think it's not like tactical. It's just racing, you know, always offensively, always being on the you know, never be on the back foot is the best way to put it. You know, you always want to be at the front, and you know, if you're at the front, usually not as many bad things are going to happen. That said, I was like 20th wheel yesterday when I crashed, but yeah, I mean, Lance is one to always take the bull by the horns and just be at the front and stay out of trouble.
And so our understanding was that the road was just sort of going through these slight bends, and people just came and sort of sandwiched you from both sides, and you went over the bars and landed on your back. Is that kind of what happened?
Yeah, I mean, someone just came over my front wheel really fast. I mean, before I didn't even anticipate anything. I really didn't hit the brakes, didn't move. Just before I knew it, all the spokes were gone in my front wheel, and yeah, my forks went straight up down on the ground, and it was pretty much the worst nightmare scenario.
Well, Christian Vande Velde, we certainly appreciate the time as you start to begin your recovery, and boy, best of luck in getting back on the bike as quickly as possible, and hopefully we will see you at the start of the Tour de France in Monaco come early July.
No worries, boys. I'll be back soon.
All right. In the meantime, we'll see him on Twitter, because Christian, one of the many cyclists now on Twitter these days. So, Christian, take care. And now back to racing action here, the main field on the climb of the Croce Daune.
Looks like a quick shot of Levi there, just barely in our screen. It's the first time we've seen him today as we starting into these climbs. Christian, actually, though, I have to say, sounds pretty good. And to hear him say there's Basso in the middle of your screen, the Liquigas rider, and that looks like Lövkvist right behind him as well, the Columbia rider, only 18 seconds out of the overall jersey. But Billy Vande Velde sounding fairly chipper. I didn't expect him to sound that good.
No, he sounded like he was in good spirits, and again, so much is still unknown about his condition and the extent of his injuries, when he can start training again. Still has about a month and a half before the Tour de France comes up, so there still is time. He may not be at his best, but unlike this Giro, for instance, where the mountains come so soon, the Tour de France this year is a race where maybe you can start with a little less form and ride yourself into your top condition. As we look to the back once again, Alessandro Petacchi struggling at the back of the main field, the 7th day in the pink jersey in Petacchi's career here today, coming off the 9th win of his season so far yesterday. He's gone back-to-back with sprint wins in each of the last 2 stages, and what a year it's been for Alley Jet so far.
And he really, I think this group here has actually been split off the back of the field, so he's now starting to lose the time, and he knew it coming in, and that's why he went to the front very recently and did some work on the front, because all these guys, what goes around comes around. DeLuca did a lot of work for him earlier in the race, and he won 2 stages to take advantage of that help, and every single guy on the team. There's Horner, first time we've seen Horner all day on your left with the jersey opened up. Horner's been quiet but riding solid. He's still up there in the overall classification. And back up to our breakaway, 5 minutes 32 seconds, and the Saxo Bank colors of Jens Voigt on the front. Kind of the trademark Voigt look there with a grimace.
Well, it's when we've looked at all of those pictures at our leaders, Voigt has been the one doing by far the most work of our breakaway riders.
Yeah, if you were a bike racer, you want to be in the breakaway with Voigt, because he is never going to yell at you for not doing enough work. He's just going to do 50% of the work of the entire breakaway no matter what.
Well, all of the main GC hopefuls seem to be near the front. And Petacchi, our pink jersey, going out the back now by himself.
Boy, it's lonely at the top sometimes, and a guy like Petacchi certainly getting a lot of people still cheering him on. Even a little shove there, he'll appreciate that, but he knows that he still has some chances to win some stages. He'll save a little bit today and try and do something again later on.
Now, not a lot of stages for the sprinters this year. After 2 stages the last 2 days for the sprint specialists, we have 4 more to go that are classic sprint stages here in this year's Giro d'Italia. So we'll see if Petacchi can get over the mountains and rally later on here in this race. Still on the first climb of the day, stage number 4 here at the Giro on Universal Sports.
Back to the top, this is Patrick Deneen of the USA. Oh, beautiful. And he threw the back foot iron cross. Look at this. And this is his signature. Deneen is a speed demon. Wow. Huge off the bottom jump. Patrick Deneen goes into first place, so your world champion, Patrick Deneen of the
anything closer? Look how high that thing's going. Look out there. Look at the debris.
Give me the camera.
No, just drive. I've got it.
Zoom in, zoom in.
I can't believe this is happening.
Oh, the size of that thing.
It's everywhere.
Are you getting this?
Yeah, I've got it.
What was that? It's the National Guard.
How'd they get here so fast?
I don't know.
Pull over. Pull over.
Do you have what it takes to head into the heart of the storm? Check out NationalGuard.com.
At this year's 9 Health Fair, over 85,000 people got to know their numbers and made their health priority #1.
Hi, I'm Denver Mayor John Hickenlooper, and I just want to take a moment to say thanks. Thanks to all the volunteers who worked so hard to make the 9 Health Fair happen, and thanks to everyone who visited the health fair. Staying healthy, living the dream.
Abbott, a proud 9 Health Fair sponsor, developing new products and new approaches for managing health.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
And a leading group of 3 now approaching the summit of the first serious climb of this year's Giro. And now there will be the race for the King of the Mountains points. Jens Voigt doesn't look like he will contest this. That is Francesco Bellotti of the Barlow World team, the 29-year-old Italian. Now see him making the move and now trying to go for the King of the Mountains points. And again, as we get up to the higher mountains, the points for crossing first become greater. So a more likely opportunity, if he can keep it up, to move into the King of the Mountains green jersey here at the Giro.
And Francesco De Bonis, the Italian on the Di Giovanni squad there, trying to get back up to Bellotti as they are getting very close to the top of this. And it looks like De Bonis is actually holding pretty close. Maybe he'll be able to bring him back and get maximum bonification here at the top of this climb.
Now this category 2, topping out just inside of 120 kilometers into today's stage number 4. The Tifosi lining the hill.
It's a good way to put your kid in harm's way there as they come around the switchback. And look at DeBow. This is trying to make it.
He's not letting it go. He's won a stage of the Tour of Romandy, 27 years of age, also an Italian, so the 2 Italians, and now he's cracked.
That's it.
He knows he's not going to get it, and Bellotti goes over first. He gets top points.
And De Bonis will be second, and let's see how far back Voigt is. Can he make it back up to these 2? Probably these guys are just going to sit up. They want strength in numbers, regroup. They got a long way to the finish yet.
Now one Francesco tops another at the first King of the Mountains selection on today's stage number 4. This is back with the main field. Ivan Basso in the green liquid gas jersey, middle of your screen. Chechu Rubiera for the Astana team with his kit unzipped up top. And again, a look at Bellotti having that extra kick that De Bonis did not to get over the summit. And interesting to note that up here at the summit of the Croce d'Aune, there's a monument to Tullio Campagnolo, who legend says was the one who actually dreamt up and created the first derailleur as he was riding this climb way back in 1927. He was struggling to change gears in cold and rainy weather, and, well, he said he basically thought it up during the climb. How could this be done better as you look at the Luca and Lance Armstrong? So he is credited, Tullio Campagnola is, with creating the first modern derailleur. And as a result, there's a monument at the top of this climb for him.
Well, he changed cycling and bike racing forever with that invention, as DeLuca and Armstrong both looking pretty solid there. A lot of people real impressed with Lance. He's really discounted his own chances, but he's coming into the day very high in the overall classification. And there's a nice shot of Basso, Leipheimer just to his left on our view. So all the contenders still up in the front. Armstrong right there with Leipheimer in front of him. And there's a great shot of Ivan Basso back in the Tour of Italy.
Was the winner back in 2006. He's ridden this climb several times. He knows it very well. But as far as Lance goes, it's interesting because these days are precisely the reason he has always wanted to ride the Giro d'Italia. He said he's sort of had this infatuation with the Dolomite Mountains, has never been able to ride them in the Giro. Of course, this is his first time ever at this Tour of Italy. He's always spent time in the Pyrenees and the Alps riding the Tour de France, but He's admired the Dolomite Mountains from afar, and this is one of the compelling draws that has brought Armstrong to his first ever Giro. Now riding pretty good right behind his teammate, Levi Leipheimer.
We've seen a lot of footage of the Liquigas team on the front. We've seen a lot of the LPR team on the front as well. And they're really looking for their two main GC hopefuls, Basso and DeLuca. So they're doing a lot of work. Looks like a great smart move here by Levi and Lance, just following behind those other teams, just marking those wheels, staying out of the wind, not using any energy whatsoever, and just doing exactly the right thing they need to do.
Now approaching the summit of the climb now inside the final 500 meters. Clock ticking on the graphic. Lower right-hand portion of your screen. Over 3.5 minutes now since our leaders went over the summit. This will give us a very accurate count as to where the race stands once the main field goes through.
We'll see how much time. The lead group is going to have to lose some time. The Astana rider, second wheel in your screen there, is Popovic. So it looks like at this moment it's kind of a two teams really taking all the right precautions, if you will. And DeLuca has gone back a bit, but I don't expect that there's any real reason for that other than maybe just looking around a bit. As saw him out of the corner of the screen, looking back over his shoulder as he disappeared from the front, maybe looking for one of his lieutenants, asking for something.
Now the road's very twisty, turny. Here near the top of the climb, our leading group of riders up the road, 4.5 minutes in front of the main field. It's just about to hit the summit here. Jaroslav Popovic riding second wheel for Astana there. Liquigas still with a lot of riders near the front. Astana has several boys up there as well. Case de Parne also making a good representation. 4:39, the official mark from our leaders back to the peloton.
You see a lot of riders there right over the top. Stand up or sit up, zip up the jersey. You want to ventilate on the climb, but you want to keep that little bit of warmth and not catch a chill on the way down. And so they're doing exactly what they always do. There's DeLuca there, way back. Now this is actually very, very strange to see, as maybe he's struggling a little bit. Quite a ways back in the cars. DeLuca, he's got 3 teammates with him, so they're there to help him out.
Now DeLuca, one of those guys that we talked about at the outset, as
Tom Danielson
this
as
sort
well.
of a route could favor him today, yeah.
Yeah, so that's very, very bad news for DeLuca, wondering what's going on with his legs today.
Well, he may also realize there's a long way to go on the descent, a long way to the finish, maybe playing possum, we'll have to see, and sort things out as we roll along. So 2 riders at the head of the race right now on the descent of the Croce Daune, with 1 big climb left to go. The summit finish at San Martino. 14K of climbing at the end of the stage. And now the American Lindsey Vann.
A big jump for her.
Oh, that's terrific.
She's got it. She's got it.
A sensational jump. Vann is going to get the gold. The first ever in women's ski jumping at the Nordic World Championships.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
If you're in debt to the IRS for $10,000 or more, you don't have to take desperate measures to settle your account. In fact, you might actually be able to pay just pennies on the dollar. All you have to do is put the right people to work for you. And that's as simple as calling this number. You'll speak to a tax expert who can help you negotiate a settlement that's significantly less than the actual amount you owe. Many are former IRS agents who have inside knowledge that you can't get elsewhere. And that can make all the difference in the world.
They saved my business.
I owed $30,000 and paid a fraction of it.
The threatening letter stopped immediately.
I got great advice, and they did all the work.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, you owe it to yourself and your family to call this number and get your case settled for less. Now, you only have a small window of time to settle, so act now.
For a free tax analysis, call 800-515-0290. There is no obligation. Call 800-515-0290 now.
Because of an accident, the insurance company wouldn't do anything. They offered to pay me nothing for my permanent disability. Then I hired Brian Moore. He got me $78,000.
Hi, I'm attorney Brian Moore. I'm a former judge, and I've been fighting insurance companies all my life, and they don't frighten me.
I'm sure glad I hired Brian.
On an all-new World's Funniest Moments. We got some funny stuff here.
Dang. Arsenio brings you the most revealing videos yet.
I'll give you $500 if you show me what's underneath.
Woo. With the biggest wipeouts, duke-outs, and fake-outs on TV.
We gonna put on a dress?
It's the show that brings the extremely stupid to a whole new level.
It's a runaway freight train rolling down the track straight at you.
An all-new World's Funniest Moments.
Wednesday at 7 on My 20.
We bring you back to our coverage of Stage 4 of the 2009 Giro d'Italia, the 100th anniversary edition of the season's first Grand Tour. Steve Schlanger with Todd Gogulski, both our leaders and the main field on the descent of the first significant climb of this year's Giro, the Croce d'Aune. And here are our three leaders who had a lead of about 4.5 minutes over the summit of the Croce d'Aune. These are Francesco De Bonis of the Diqui Giovanni team, Jens Voigt of Saxo Bank, and Francesco Bellotti of the Barlow World squad.
And so Voigt has made it back up to the two leaders that got away from him over the top of the climb. So it's once again a trio, and that'll help them out. Strength in numbers in these breakaway situations.
And we are pleased to have join us now on the telecast the only American to ever win the Giro d'Italia. Andy Hampsten did it way back in 1988, and he joins us from his home in Boulder, Colorado. Andy, first of all, thank you very much for taking the time, and it's got to be somewhat of a thrill for you because as the only American to have ever won it, we're coming to a year here in 2009 where for the first time in quite a while we have a significant chance of an American actually taking the pink jersey at the end of 3 weeks with Levi Leipheimer, maybe even Lance Armstrong.
Absolutely. One, I'm delighted to join you. It's kind of hard to believe it's been 21 years since I won the race. But on that note, it was, you know, that was with the 7-Eleven team, which was the first team of all Americans and certainly an American organized team to compete in Europe in bicycle racing. And we did feel like pioneers back in the 80s. But part of being a pioneer is you don't want to be lonely. You want other guys to join you later on. So it's really fun seeing a lot of good Americans over in Europe. You know, and it's too bad that Christian Van de Velde is out of the race. But it's great seeing, you know, there's obviously a couple of guys on Astana who could win the race. The more Americans who win the Tour, the better. Or, I'm sorry, the Giro.
Andy, are you surprised that an American hasn't been a significant threat until now at the Giro in the 2 decades that have passed since your victory?
Well, Tyler Hamilton had a great run at it and finished second, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. That was a pretty, you know, that's as close as you can get without winning it. And I'm not surprised in that the Giro is so hard. Back in the 80s, a rider could ride the Giro without having top form at the start, find really good form, and then just do a couple races in June and go into the Tour with optimal form, therefore using the Giro as preparation for the Tour. And it's just such a difficult race. It's just become so much more intense in the last 15 or 20 years that that's no longer an option. So if an American rider, if the focus really is the Tour de France, usually their sponsors will be conservative and have them focus on a lighter schedule in May and June to arrive at the Tour in perfect form.
Well, Andy, the generational aspect of cycling is one of the compelling features of the sport. And Levi Leipheimer, who, as we've noted, is the top American favorite to perhaps win this year's Giro, he's talked about the fact that when he was a teenager growing up in Montana, he opened up a cycling magazine. He saw the legendary picture of you going over the Gavia Pass in the blizzard to win that 1988 Giro d'Italia. That's one of the things that sparked his interest in the sport. And now here he is, several years later, with a chance to become only the second American behind you to win. That's got to be a fascinating concept to think about.
Yeah, and that's really cool because when I was a kid, there weren't many guys in Europe to read about, many American guys that, you know, I could look up to. But, you know, there were a few like George Mount and Mike Neal, and certainly Greg LeMond was right before me, and, you know, he was a phenomenon. But it really is fun to, you know, think about myself as a kid, looking at other riders as inspiration to do the sport, and to hear that you know, now I don't think that I'm that old, but I guess I am, because it's fun to hear about other kids like Levi thinking that it's now their time to win that race.
Well, Andy, let's take you way back 21 years to your memories of the Gavia. And for everybody remembers the day, the blizzard conditions you are in, the exposure a cyclist has because you have to balance being covered up but also still being able to ride your bike hard. How could you even get down the descent? I'm sure your fingers were so numb you could barely hold on to the handlebars.
Yeah, I had a great team. We were very well prepared on 7-Eleven for that. So our managers went out and that morning bought a lot of essentially winter ski gear, Gore-Tex insulated gloves, really good hats, just to try to keep us warm. So the Gavia stage was going to be the most difficult stage, under dry conditions during the whole race. So we were very much focusing on me attacking on that stage. I wasn't excited about the snow, that covered the ground down in the valley where our hotel was that morning. I was very, very cold. I grew up in North Dakota, but that doesn't make me better at being cold. I think I was as cold as just about anyone else. But I really realized as the stage was going on and we were racing in sleet and very cold conditions, but still had essentially 2,000 more meters to climb, that all my competitors were at least as scared as I was. And all I had to do, it wasn't easy, but it was simple to just think, today I just have to follow through with plan A and do my best. But I paid more attention to the descent than I would have under dry conditions. It was a 25-kilometer descent from the top of the Gavia to the finish in Bormio, all downhill. And,
wow.
Every racer's been in snowy conditions, but usually there's not that big of a descent.
Well, Andy,
so I saved a little bit on the way up for the way down.
Well, Andy, we appreciate the time. I know you're leaving Boulder to head to your camp in Tuscany very shortly, so thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the race.
Andy Hampsten, the only American winner ever of the Giro d'Italia. Will there be another one this year? Our leader still descending off the first big climb of this year's Giro. We still have the summit finish of San Martino di Castrozza coming up as we continue from the Giro d'Italia.
And away we go.
You've got to be happy with the performance by this team today. That was beautiful.
Wow. This is going to be a star-studded affair. She's going!
Listen to this huge crowd. He's going to have enough for his first world championship.
You'd expect from Bose. These comfortable headphones electronically identify and reduce noise while faithfully preserving music or tranquility. Travel and Leisure Golf says these headphones allow you to 10%. So call today and leave the noise behind.
Insurance, you're covered from start to finish.
That's it.
Across the back door. When can you get someone to
Save me some money. I just got my bill from my insurance company, and it may be time for a change.
It all begins with a personalized insurance assessment where we take the time to understand you and then help you understand your options.
Sure, it's got anti-lock brakes and airbags, but I feel safe knowing I've got the right coverage, too.
Of course, the true measure of an insurance company is how you're treated if you have an accident. Amica is there for you 24/7. No wonder Business Week recognized us yet again for our customer service.
They went all out to settle my claim. I had no idea it would be so easy.
Call Amica now. Good drivers could save hundreds.
Saving money's nice. Great service is nicer. With Amica, I get both.
Call Amica today because
it's not just how you're covered.
It's
how you're treated.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
Here are our three leaders just going inside of 30 kilometers to the finish. Francesco De Bonis, also Francesco Bellotti, two Italians, and the German Jens Voigt. These are our three leaders, still with a comfortable lead over the main field. And What's interesting about this group, normally you would not expect a breakaway on a day like this to stay away, but with Voigt being such an escape artist, such a breakaway specialist, he's kind of a wild card here, sort of an X factor. He might be able to lead these guys and perhaps stay away himself. We'll have to wait and see as you look at the profile of today's stage, and that green line indicating where the race is right now, hitting the bottom of the descent of the first climb, Croce d'Aune, and then approaching our final climb of the day that takes us up to the first summit finish, San Martino di Castrozza. That climb just under 14 kilometers in length overall, but the climb comes after 20K of gradual climbing, and that happens a lot in these grand tours. You talk about where the climb starts, but you're still going uphill just prior to that, so you also feel that in your legs too.
Yeah, that lead into the climb actually softens up the riders a little bit, and these guys who have been in the breakaway, every time the road turns uphill just makes it a little bit tougher on them. However, back in the chase group, anybody who's a climber who has aspirations to start to try and do something good here in this first mountaintop day is going to start looking at their competition and seeing who looks good, who doesn't. And still Liquigas here on the front of the field. Boy, Basso has had his men on the front for a long, long time. They're doing a ton of work right now.
Riders on the descent on another bright, sunny day. The weather's been absolutely perfect so far through the first 4 days of this Giro d'Italia. We've yet to see a drop of rain. Comfortable temperatures today in the low 70s.
I think
it's hard to believe Andy Hampsten 21 years ago had that blizzard that he rode through on May the 29th. Now, we've seen the pictures already of the peaks and the top of the Dolomites. They still have snow on them, and it was a record year for snowfall in northern Italy. However, it's also been a very warm spring so far. So snow cover at the tops of these roads is not an issue for this year's Giro, as most of it has already melted away. They were concerned about it a few weeks back, thinking that with so much snow, they may still have some white stuff once they got to the top, but it's been so warm for several days now that it will not be a factor.
Yeah, the Giro tends to have a little bit of weather every couple of years. Last year, they had to shorten some stages due to some snow that they just couldn't get to the top. And it's the nature of the beast. You know, you're out there in the elements, and you're going to have days even into May like this where you get up into the mountains and you get those freak winter storms.
We'll see how the road snakes through the trees here. Now a gorgeous sight to see the strung out main field on the descent like this, and this is something that sometimes a casual viewer can underappreciate. The ability of these guys to travel at such a high rate of speed through some technical turns, all while managing their bikes so effortlessly, so fluidly. It looks so easy, but those are two skinny tires out there.
Yeah, these guys, and as you look at this overhead view, you see these little gaps in the group. That tells you how fast the front of the group is attacking this descent. Guys are letting little gaps open up, and that's an indication of the speed there. Here at the back of the peloton, one of our other Lampre riders at the back, and that looks like Manuele Mori, looking for maybe doing a little team support there for Cunego, going back to the car, pick up some bottles or maybe a whole bunch of bottles and some food, and then bringing them up to the front. But Cunego's really the guy they're riding for here at this year's Giro d'Italia.
Now the riders going over a mountain pass and then riding alongside a river here. They'll approach a reservoir, go through a couple of tunnels in the next few K, as our leaders have now maintain a margin of 4:22 over this main field. Again, the three up the road, Bellotti, De Bonis, and Jens Voigt. I mentioned a moment ago that Voigt is sort of the wild card in that mix. Now, normally, this wouldn't be the type of stage where he would attack. I'm kind of surprised because he's the type of a guy that would go out on a day where maybe the road is hilly, undulating, but not a summit finish like this. I'm kind of surprised by that, but is there a chance that he might stick and stay to the finish?
Yeah, for a guy like Voigt, who's a little bit down on the GC, he picked a tough day to go in the breakaway because of the simple fact that this is a mountaintop finish. That means that all the best climbers and all the GC contenders are going to be flexing their mountain muscles on this climb. So he's not just going to slip away at the end. If this were a flat finish, he might actually have a much better chance of staying away because he's over 3.5 minutes down in the overall classification. So they don't need to chase him. They will be racing against each other on this climb, and that's going to really hurt his chances.
Danilo De Luca's LPR team now back on front after Liquigas has taken a large turn on the descent. Lampre and Astana also not too far off the pace there as these riders make their way towards the Bottom of the final climb of the day, the 14K climb to San Martino di Castrozza. That closes out stage number 4. We're also in the Dolomites again tomorrow, stage 5. So it's back-to-back mountain days in the first 5 days of competition. A very unusual first week of a grand tour. So what might make this a little less exciting, more predictable towards the finish is the fact that guys still have very fresh legs. Only a few days into the race, we could see a large group come to the finish together here at the end.
And actually today is sort of just the leg stretcher day, the preview for tomorrow, because tomorrow is a much tougher finish. And so these riders really haven't had the opportunity to size each other up yet in this Giro d'Italia. All these guys we've been talking about, the guys like Levi, the guys like Lance, Cunego, Basso. Basso's got a couple of great teammates for the mountains, Pelizzotti and Scarponi, De Luca, Menchov for Rabobank, Simoni, Serpa, his teammate, the Colombian. These guys haven't eaten. What about Garzelli? These guys have never been on a mountain yet this year's Giro d'Italia, so they don't really know who's got the stuff. And today's the first preview.
Yeah, the mountains coming so early really keeps a guy like Garzelli in play because he's 35 years of age. Had they come later on in the race, perhaps fatigue and the age might become more of a factor, but he could still be very fresh, as will some of the other riders when they get to the top of the final climb and the summit finish here today. Looking at the back of the peloton right now and approaching the first tunnel on the day as the riders will make their way through the middle of the mountain here. As we're on the back half of stage number 4 inside the final 30K to race. The final climb starting just inside of 14K to go. And then the climb to San Martino di Castrozza. First of 6 summit finishes in the 100th anniversary edition of the Giro d'Italia.
Michael Phelps is up to the challenge now. What a crowd starting to feel. Is he going to have enough? 8 meters left. And here he comes. He's going to be very close.
Between family, friends, and work, there are never enough hours in the day. So how do I find time to stay in shape? With the Bowflex Tread Climber machine. It's like having 3 cardio machines in one, and it burns up to twice the calories, and all I have to do is walk.
The Tread Climber machine delivers the aerobic workout of a treadmill, the climbing resistance of a stair stepper, and the low-impact movement of an elliptical all at the same time. The result is a low-impact, calorie-blasting, body-transforming workout. Call now for this free DVD and see for yourself how the Tread Climber machine's 3-in-1 technology delivers more results with less effort in less time.
If you want a better way to get a better body, you need to get this free DVD.
On it, you'll see how the Tread Climber burns up to 2 times more calories than a treadmill without ever going faster than a brisk walk. Call or go online now to take advantage of our new low price and save $300. You can own a Tread Climber machine for our lowest price ever, but you'll need to act now. Get in shape for less and save $300 on a Tread Climber machine.
So if you think a tread climber sounds like all gain and no pain, you're right, which is why people love it.
I'm healthier than I have ever been. It started working after a couple of weeks, and then I just kept at it.
I went from 54 to a 36 jeans.
Went from a size 10 down to a size 4.
I got energy.
I like where I'm at. I'm more confident. I feel a lot better about myself.
The doctor took me off all my high blood pressure pills.
He's done a good job, and we both work very hard, and we're both very proud of the results we achieved.
The Tread Climber turned my whole life around.
You can get firmer thighs, tighter glutes, and a stronger core. Work out 30 minutes 3 times a week, and you'll see dramatic results in just 6 weeks, guaranteed, or your money back. Call or go online to buytc.com to get your free DVD and learn how you can save $300 on a Bowflex Tread Climber machine. This is our lowest price ever. Call now.
Why do people... It's just simple...
All you need is 1 part Cobric.
That's good.
Need some Kirk.
In just a minute.
1 part Kim.
Here's your Kim. I know, but in just a minute.
Our secret ingredient, essence of Kathy Sage.
That's perfect.
We need some Kirk.
Absolutely. Now, just a little bit.
Okay,
a little bit of Kirk goes a long way, all right? Just a little bit, all right?
More Kirk.
Kirk. Too much Kirk? Too much Kirk.
Have you found your 5-person relay team for the post-Colfax Marathon? Go to ColoradoColfaxMarathon.org to sign up for the relay May 17. It's another reason to high-five your friends. The post-Colfax Marathon, beginning and ending in City Park. Get breaking news alerts and daily news updates from 9 News. Go to 9news.com and click on the 9 News Now icon to sign up. When you want it, when you need it. 9 News. Congratulations, Drew Soischer, voted Best Sportscaster by the Colorado Broadcasters Association.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you have to do, and a lot of times they won't even pull over. They'll actually just pick a section of the course where it's a slight downhill and nothing
where there's
is
no
really,
spectators too, I would imagine.
Yeah, where there's nothing going on, and they'll do it off the bike. But you know, if you're going through 8-10 bottles in a day like this, potentially, you got to stay hydrated. It's a long race, but right now at the front, look at how fast LPR is going. Anybody who just pulled over, that's the disadvantage. That's why it's so much better to find a place to actually relieve yourself where you don't get off the bike.
Just the thought of trying to do that at maybe 30, 40 miles an hour. I'm glad I'm here and not there.
Yeah, there's a lot of professional etiquette in that, and you got to pull off to the side. You don't do that from the front of the field.
All right, back with the leaders again. Jens Voigt, third wheel there. Now the main field. Lamprey in the pink, blue, and white. At the front in the white and green, LPR. A couple of liquid gas guys in there as well. And there is Jens Voigt, the German who is now 37 years of age, just like Lance Armstrong, has won a stage of this Giro before. Has, of course, won his home race, the Deutschland Tour, on 2 occasions. Won the Tour of the Mediterranean. So he's got quite a decorated resume, and he's such an escape artist, but sort of surprising that with a mountaintop finish, he would be out in the break today. Maybe the legs were just feeling good. And, you know, sometimes you try and strategically go through the race in your head the night before or even the morning of a stage. But sometimes, Todd, you get out on the road, things just happen. You got to react and go on instinct.
Yeah, you can't plan everything. Remember, every single team has a plan going into the day, but then they have to constantly let that change as the race unfolds. So here they are, 20K from the finish. Things are going to start to go uphill a little bit more precipitously. But yeah, he probably didn't plan on being in this early move today, but he saw some guys attacking. He said, I don't have any Saxo Bank teammates in there. We have to cover this. He was the guy who ended up going with the move.
And just inside of 3 minutes, back to the main field now. And the leaders with just about 6 kilometers to go until they hit the base of that final climb.
And honestly, with 20 kilometers to go with a 2:53 advantage, this is touch and go for the breakaway. I think that these guys still have an outside chance of making it all the way to the line, and they certainly are going to put everything into the fire here.
Lance Armstrong is in this group, as are most of the GC contenders. Lamprey starting to line it up on front now, along with LPR. Liquid Gas not going away. The Aqua and Sapone team in the red and white also coming to the front as everybody getting organized for the final climb of the day.
And away we go.
You've got to be happy with the performance by this team today. That was beautiful.
Wow.
This is going to be a star-studded affair.
She's got it! Listen to this huge crowd. He's going to have enough for his first World Championship goal.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
Hi, I'm John Scher, CEO and founder of Video Professor. I'm the guy that gives away the free computer learning lessons. Well, today I'm here to tell you about a great new product that many of you have been asking for. And here it is, how to buy and sell on eBay, and I'll give it to you free. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I can make you the next millionaire selling an attic full of baseball cards, but I can guarantee you that I'll teach you everything you need to know about eBay while cleaning out your garage and probably putting some money in your pocket at the same time. Now, I can do this because I know that once you try my lesson on eBay, you'll be so satisfied that the next time you need to learn anything about computers, you'll come back to Video Professor for all your computer learning needs. And with over 55 lessons on all of today's most popular computer programs, I know that there's more you'll want to learn. Call now and I'll send you eBay or any other lesson of your choice free. So what do you got to lose? Try my product.
Call 1-800-771-8343. That's 1-800-771-8343.
Beating us on the boards out there, guys. This is your territory, Grimson. Do your job.
Grimson.
Hello?
Hi, honey. What? Now? All right. The itsy bitsy spider climbed up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out. Out came the sun and dried up all the rain, and the itsy bitsy spider climbed up the spout again.
I love you, Daddy.
I love you too, sweetheart. Hey, it's my girl. You know, my daughter.
Love. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
The gorgeous Dolomite Mountains of northern Italy. The course profile and the green line showing where the race is right now, heading up to that summit finish at San Martino di Castrozza. Here are our 3 leaders. Just about to go inside of 15K to go to the finish. Jens Voigt, third wheel there for the Saxo Bank team. Francesco De Bonis of the Diqui Giovanni team is there, as is Francesco Bellotti of the Barlow World squad. Now back with our peloton here. And they're not too far behind, as we're now with the leaders just about a K to go to the beginning of that climb. And now the main field with all of the hopefuls really starting to jockey, position themselves, make sure they're exactly where they want to be and that their team is there around them as they hit the lower slopes.
Yeah, really, and if you're one of the overall favorites, you're not so concerned about these 3 guys up the road right now. What you're more concerned about is the other favorites that are in that bunch. So if you're a Basso, if you're a Garzelli, who's got a great chance today, if you're a Levi, if you're a Lance, a Cunego, any of these guys that we were just talking about a minute ago, they're all wondering now, how are they going to fare on this climb? And so they're not so concerned about the 3 guys up the road. Of course, if they get up there, then those time bonuses will add to their advantage if they can win the stage.
Well, tactically for the guys you just mentioned, this is the first of 6 summit finishes in this race. Still a lot of mountains and a lot of racing to go over the next 3 weeks. How much do you want to show your form and your condition so early? This is still only day number 4. How much would you like to sort of wait and see how things play out with your rivals before you really start to dig and make a go?
I think that if with tomorrow's stage being another tough day, I would not want to be in the leader's jersey at the end of the day today, because then that means your team has to be on the front all day long doing the defense for you. It'd be nice to be real close to the leader's jersey, but not in it at the end of the day. So I think holding back just a little bit is a good idea. There's Pataki in his second group out on the road, and we're getting word he's about 8 minutes back at this point. So long way from the first group, of which is basically the field, back to this chase group.
Now you start to get so much further back. You got guys just considering making the time cut, not worrying about where they exactly finish in the standings, just making sure that they can live to ride another day here at the Giro d'Italia.
A lot of Garmin Slipstream riders in there. Unfortunate to see them, and that was also Fabian Cancellara there as well. He's right there at the front of the screen.
Now 8:18 back to the Pataki group and the pink jersey as the peloton rolls inside of 15K to go. So about a kilometer from the bottom of the final climb as they start the march up to San Martino di Castrozza. Again, this climb 13.7K altogether in length. That rises 753 meters and has an average gradient of 5.5%. Now, keep this in mind, the average of 5.5% in terms of its gradient, that's kind of misleading. The opening kilometers have a gentle gradient between 1 and 3%. Around just about kilometer number 3, the gradient jumps to 6.5%, remains there for most of the rest of the stage. The max gradient of 10% occurs with 5K to go to the finish.
And Voigt here still looking pretty solid as these guys continue to try and hold on. Some other climbers here today we might want to consider, guys really that maybe don't have a chance at the overall because they'll lose time in the time trials, but they may actually have the finishing legs for a mountaintop finish. A guy like Jose Serpa, the Colombian on the Diqui Giovanni team, or there's also Juan Soler.
Now look
on
at Carlos
Barlow
Sastre there, 61 for the Cervelo Test team, defending Tour de France champion.
There's a man we have not talked about much, and he's kind of said he's using this as a tune-up, but then he's also said he wants to be on the podium at the end of the race. So he's given us conflicting reports or messages about his intentions.
Well, a minute 7 back on GC for Carlos Sastre as the day begins here today. And now, as you can see, he's well back in the main field there as we are back to the leaders who are now starting to make the climb here, and Jens Voigt starting to move towards the front of this three-man group, the 37-year-old. Well, he's been out there a long time today, doing a lot of work, and I tell you what, the longer he keeps this up, it's the type of ride that you're going to pay for tomorrow. And keep in mind, it's only day 5 of 21 days of racing.
Yeah, if this group can stay away, they'll be thrilled. But tomorrow, these guys will all be out the back big time because there's a massive 25-kilometer climb at the end tomorrow.
Looking down now at the front of the main field, LPR and Columbia up there with Liquid Gas and Lamprey. And there's Astana with a couple of guys moving forward on the left. And there's Lance Armstrong, number 21. And boy, one of the most exciting things about this Giro is how is Lance going to perform? And for the first time since I can remember, he's really an unknown. If you go back to most of his Tour de France victories, it was so scientific, almost academic, the way he approached the race, the way the results turned out. I mean, you just knew that Lance was going to be there and most likely was going to win. But now here we are, almost 4 years removed from his last Tour win, and he comes into this first ever Giro d'Italia. You really don't know what's going to happen. You wouldn't be surprised if he took the pink jersey. You wouldn't be surprised if he finished a few minutes back.
Yeah, I think the interview he gave yesterday, talking about how I'm not that concerned, I think he's being fairly truthful.
Well, look at this, Todd. We've dropped one of the riders. It looks like Francesco De Bonis has dropped out, and Jens Voigt and Francesco Bellotti are by themselves up the road.
Yeah, so Armstrong, he's been following Popovic for the last couple of days. It's like that's Popo's job every single day. There's De Luca there as well on the left of your screen right in front of Lance. But I think that Lance really is being truthful when he says the pressure's not on me to win this thing. The pressure's not on me to be the team leader. The team leader is Levi. I'm here to support him. And it looks like, look at, you gotta love the way when Voigt is on the throttle, you can see the bike kind of weave back and forth. It's classic Jens Voigt. He's digging hard right now.
Now, when Jens goes, you can tell the bike movement. You can see the anger and the pain on his face, getting a good view at the gap here. And again, Francesco De Bonis of the Dick Giovanni team, the 27-year-old Italian, has been dropped. And now it is just Voigt along with Francesco Bellotti of Barloworld. That's Bellotti in the red and white of the Barloworld kit there.
And this is actually a great setup for the Barloworld main climber, Soler.
That's De Bonis right there, who's been dropped.
De Bonis is done for the day. So down to 2 now. You can tell just by looking at his cadence, he is just turning his legs over about 70 RPM. And look at the front of the group here. It has really been interesting to see the last 3 days of racing. It's been all over the front, except for a little bit of Columbia High Road. It's been all Italian teams. It's been LPR and it's been Liquid Gas all day today. And a lot of that yesterday was LPR as well for Pataki.
Now the peloton on the final climb of the day. The road up to San Martino di Castrozza. As far as the road itself, no problem there. It's very wide and smooth, sweeping corners. So that will certainly favor the speed of this main field as they try and reel in the 2 guys up the road, Voigt and Bellotti.
And that's Garzelli there in the red, Aqua Sapone. And right in front of him is De Luca. So this is starting to set up as a bit of a duel here early on. There's Lokvist in the Columbia High Road jersey. He's also very, very close in the overall classification. In fact, only 18 seconds down coming into this stage.
Now, the interesting thing about him and about Columbia, they actually say, as our 2 leaders now come up to 10K left to go, Columbia says that Konstantin Sitsov is their GC leader, the Belarusian on the team, but of the legitimate GC threats in terms of riding style and ability, Michael Rogers and also Lopquist, who we just saw, are the 2 highest place guys inside 20 seconds of Pataki as the day began. We know Pataki's already been gone, so Columbia certainly with multiple options here at this point, still very early.
Yeah, a lot of options for those guys, and they're really just kind of seeing how Rogers and Lokvist are going to ride into this. Are they going to ride into it? De Luca there looking very solid right now. Got a little bit of a quick conversation during the early part of this stage with Basso's manager, Giovanni Lombardi, and he thinks that at the end of today, Armstrong is going to be in the Maglia Rosa. So that's interesting to hear. that the Bosso manager thinks today is Armstrong's day.
That goes back to what I said a few moments ago. I think it's such a big unknown because Lance, of course, has been very understated, downplaying his chances, but that could just be playing possum. I mean, we've seen him do it before. And I wouldn't be surprised if he took off on a sprint, found it in his legs in the final few K, or if he sort of maybe got dropped at some point. Either option, either possibility would not surprise me here today.
Now, Armstrong has shown in the past, even though he's not known as a guy with a sprint, he's shown in the past that when he's motivated and when he's in a small group, he does have a good sprint. A nice shot of Garzelli there in the red and white of Aqua and Sapone. 139 down, a long ways down in the overall, but he's looking for a little bit of redemption here today.
Now, Stefano Garzelli, now at 35 years of age, has had a good season so far. Second at Tirreno Adriatico, fourth at the Giro del Trentino that rode over some of these same roads a few weeks ago. So Garzelli looking good, feeling good, even now in his mid-30s, riding near the front. So the race approaching the summit finish at San Martino di Castrozza on Universal Sports.
Follow Lance Armstrong every day on the Giro d'Italia, only on Universal Sports. We believe in cycling.
Michael Phelps is up to the challenge now, and here he comes. He's going to be very close.
Retailers don't want you to see the information about to be disclosed.
Hi, I'm Tony Galata. This is my wife, Carrie Galata. This is our house, my wife's dream house. And we furnish most everything in this house with products from Direct Buy. We purchased the breakfast table and chairs. We looked at that table in some other places.
They ran around $3,500 and we picked it up for around $1,500.
If you're building, remodeling, or simply redecorating a room, there's now a way to buy virtually everything you need at prices you never imagined possible.
We've saved, I think, well over $20,000.
Just on our kitchen alone, we saved almost $10,000.
It adds up to about a $30,000 to $40,000 savings overall.
Call the number on your screen now to receive your free insider's guide to buying direct. Plus, you'll also receive a free visitor's pass for an exclusive tour of your local Direct Buy showroom. Call right now to get started buying the Direct Buy way. Stop paying retail and become part of Direct Buy, the private members-only showroom and design center. Don't wait another minute. Pick up the phone and call now.
Have enough to worry about.
Footprint. Termites. Radon. Rotator cuff.
But when you call Amica, you won't have to worry about auto insurance.
I know I'm covered. A friend told me about Amica years ago. Now I tell my friends.
Switch to Amica today. We take the time to explain your options and get you the right coverage.
I talked to a lot of insurance companies.
As soon as I called, I knew I had the right people.
And if you have an accident, you'll get the service you deserve.
Amica is always there for me. They pay the claim. No hassles, no worries.
Call Amica now and see why we've been ranked highest in customer satisfaction among national auto insurers for 9 straight years.
I got enough to worry about.
Too much sodium. Shin splints.
Dude, you don't have shin splints.
Oh, I have shin splints. Get out.
Call this number now for your free no-obligation quote. Amica, it's not just how you're covered, it's how you're treated. Universal Sports, home of world champions.
This is the first Category 1 climb of the 2009 Giro d'Italia. Our 2 leaders, Jens Voigt, who you see right here, and Francesco Bellotti, who is just behind him, have a little over 8 kilometers left to go to the summit finish. They have a lead of about 1.5 minutes over the peloton. You can see the pain, the anguish on their faces. Jens Voigt, the sweat dripping off his forehead. Now just going inside of 9K right now, so they're getting closer, and the main field right on their backs, but still maintaining somewhat of a gap. Is there any way, considering Voigt and his history of pulling off some big wins, any way that Jens can stay clear, do you think, today?
I think there's a slim possibility. It wasn't looking great for him there as he pulled off to the right, and Bellotti, the Barlow World rider, really didn't just come back through and start putting the pedal down, as you will. So I think they're looking a bit tired, and it'd be a real coup to pull it off at this point. And there's Garzelli and DeLuca there in white. Looks like Garzelli following DeLuca here a lot at the end. And once again, Voigt on the front. At this point, I'd say that Voigt is doing more than his share of the work, and Belotti is really capitalizing on the fact that he's getting a bit of a free ride here. But they need to work together to try and stay away.
Now the 37-year-old Voigt, the 29-year-old Belotti. A little conversation going on between the two. What are they talking about now?
Well, I think Voigt's saying, look, dude, if we're going to make it, you need to get your tail up here to the front and put your nose in the wind a little bit. I can't pull you all the way to the finish line.
That's because these boys are on the chase. Now, on any other day, with Jens Voigt being well over 3 minutes back on GC, things might play out differently, but just because of the nature of the fact that the climbers and the GC hopefuls today are just going to be trying to position themselves and really stay near the front, Voigt and Belotti will just almost naturally, by the tempo of the race and the ambitions of the other guys, be brought back at some point, you would think.
Yeah, it's much more difficult for them to stay away here on this mountaintop finish, and LPR continuing to put the pressure on the front of the group. And you know, really need to talk a bit about this team. DeLuca, the leader of the squad, has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder. There's Leipheimer, number 24. And
Popovich leading him,
Popovich,
number 27.
Where's Armstrong? I thought.
Now there's Lance right there.
There we go. So he's supposed to be on Popo's wheel, and this is the first time we've not seen them together in quite a while. But the LPR squad really has said they want to try and put the pressure on early and often in this Giro d'Italia, and they want to try and isolate Leipheimer, and they want to see if they can crack Armstrong.
Now remember, it does get steeper here. The deeper these riders go into the climb, they're inside of 8K to go now. And as we said earlier, the maximum gradient on this climb of 10% occurs with about 5 kilometers left. The final few K have a gradient of 6.3%, so it's going to get much tougher for those two leaders out front. And considering what we have here in the final few K, it could offer a chance for somebody to get on the pedals and maybe steal the stage.
Gilberto Simoni, first time we've seen him, but absolutely the stage gets harder as it goes on, and tomorrow will be harder still. Diqui Giovanni's Gilberto Simoni there, another guy who has said he wants to try and put the pressure on Lance. Look at this,
Belotti right now. No, Belotti's trying to cover. There goes Jens Voigt. Maybe Voigt realizing Belotti didn't have it in his legs. The gap was going down, and Voigt just trying to take off now on his own.
Well, the big German here putting it down in a big way, as here's the replay of that attack, and there is no way for the Italian to match him. The acceleration of the German, he still has something in the tank.
Now Jens Voigt using the steepness of the climb and his acceleration to try and pull away from Francesco Belotti, who it looked like was starting to tire. Jens Voigt, as he always seems to do, finding that second, that third win. Mouth hanging open, looking over his shoulder.
He is not a pretty man to watch on the climb. He doesn't have that smooth suppleness of a pure climber. You can see him just muscling that bike all over the road as he works the bike, the shoulders, and that little bit of swerving the way he does when he's really digging deep. But he still has the power.
Still so far to go. Remember, Voigt was part of an original 6-man breakaway that went clear of the main field 14 kilometers into today's 162-kilometer stage. They've already gone over one Cat 2 climb, now climbing a Cat 1 here at the end to the summit finish at San Martino di Castrozza. So Jens Voigt, it looks like working the hardest of any rider of the 195 who started the stage here today. As you look down on Lance.
Back to a shot of Lance there, and no longer with Popovich, so he has slipped back a little bit. He may be starting to feel the accumulation of now 4 days of racing back in his first Grand Tour.
Now that's Samaro Faki, who is the leader of the King of the Mountains. Now that graphic is wrong there. He's our leader of the King of the Mountains classification, wearing the green jersey.
And you know, he's not one of the best climbers in the race. That's obvious when you see him here. But the reason he has that King of the Mountains jersey is because he got away in a breakaway and he picked up those points. And that's what guys need to do. They need to make the race their own. And you can't, if you're not a good enough climber to go toe-to-toe with the best climbers, well, then you got to go for the breakaway and try and pick up the points that way.
Well, keep in mind, there are time bonuses at the finish here. 20 seconds for first place, 12 seconds for second, seconds for third place.
Voigt trying desperately to hang on here, and this is a man, if anybody can do it after being off the front all day, you got to tip your hat to a guy like Voigt. And Voigt there getting a little encouragement from one of the most popular spectators in all of cycling.
Now he's got the devil on one side, needs an angel on the other side of him. Who do I listen to? Do I attack? Do I wait? It's that constant push and pull. 120 ahead of the field.
120, he still has the potential here. Voigt really still on the attack. He is not waiting for anything here.
Well, if it was any of the other 5 breakaway riders that he was with earlier, you'd say no way. But with Jens Voigt, you just don't know. He may pull out something here. 4 hours into the race.
4 hours being off the front for all that time. He has got to be tiring very, very significantly by now. And this front part of our peloton has certainly thinned out a bunch, as it looks like it is starting to stretch out here. Guys are starting to feel it with 6 kilometers to go for Voigt. And can he do it?
And he's going to be getting close to the steepest part of this climb very shortly, within the next kilometer. At 37 years of age.
And he finally just picked up his cadence a little bit, maybe realizing he's killing his legs. Another shot there of Armstrong.
Another pair of 37-year-old legs.
Yeah, and also Chris Horner, 37 years, Armstrong's teammate. So a lot of guys at that age. Pataki, 35. Leipheimer in his mid-30s.
Garzelli, as we mentioned, 35. So a lot of guys in their mid to even upper 30s who are still making a mark. Some of the high-profile names at this year's Giro. And then on the other end, you've got the younger guys like somebody we mentioned before, Thomas Lobquist, the 25-year-old who is within 20 seconds of the GC lead, riding for Team Columbia. We've seen him near the front, as Mick Rogers has also been alongside as well. And there is back to Mauro Facchi, who may be losing that King of the Mountains green jersey at the end of the day, because the most points for the King of the Mountain that we've seen so far in this year's Giro will be offered at the summit finish at San Martino.
Yeah, so guys really here just in the piano group at this point. They know they're going to make the time cut, and so they're just going to get to the finish. This is where you have to really spend a little time talking with the guys around you just for your morale. But look at this, De Luca, the killer. This is a man who wants to unseat everything today. Garzelli still following on his wheel.
That's Lobquist right there, in the sunglasses, in the Columbia kit.
Guys all
now he's right next to De Luca. Garzelli right behind him. Look at De Luca sizing everybody up. He looks back over his shoulder, and boy, here comes a move by a Barlow World rider here.
That looks like their climbing sensation.
Oh, it's Soler. Yeah. Juan Mauricio Soler, the 26-year-old, makes a move.
This is a man who really showed his stuff a couple years ago, taking the King of the Mountains jersey at the Tour de France. He is absolutely a huge, huge threat. And it's 5K to go for Voigt, but Soler has gone on the attack.
Jens Voigt, the leader up the road, goes inside of 5K left to the finish. He's on the steepest part of the climb right now. Lobquist now working his way to the front, pacing Stefano Garzelli there.
Yeah, so Soler brought back to the fold there by Lobquist. So Lobquist showing that he has good legs. Garzelli following. All the main contenders here looking at each other. Soler really doesn't have a shot at the overall, but he does have a shot at a mountaintop stage win because he can't time trial.
Lance getting out of the saddle for just a moment. One of the tighter turns, the switchback on this San Martino climb.
And you can see the whole pack here is really slowed down after going deep when Soler makes that attack. That really messes up their rhythm, and after that, if somebody's got really good legs, it's a perfect opportunity to counterattack.
Now, inside of 40 seconds.
Oh, Voigt, he is definitely in trouble at this point because he's still over 4K to go. I think his journey off the front is not going to bring him to the finish line first.
And this is a Katusha rider who is getting a little bit of a gap here with Liquigas now at the front.
And that may be Evgeny Petrov. He's one of their better climbers as he's testing. Indeed, it is Petrov as he tests the front of the peloton there. And they don't really respond to him like they did to Soler, do they?
Well, he doesn't have much of a gap here. You see Jens Voigt on the left. His margin back to the main field has come down considerably.
Oh, and that was one of our breakaway riders.
That was
Belotti,
who was going backwards, right.
Yeah, going backwards is a good description there, as he is going to lose maximum time now.
That's him on the right in the red and white of Barlow World. He's going to quickly go out the back. Liquigas leads the peloton through as they pass on by. So you've got Liquigas at the front. Thomas Lovquist of the Columbia High Road team, the rider in white in the background there. Stefano Garzelli in the red and white of Aqua Sapone, just off of his left. Jens Voigt of Saxo Bank still leading this race. He's been out front since the 14K mark. He started with 5 breakaway companions. He shed them all. He's now riding by himself, trying to hang on desperately to win the first summit finish at this year's Giro d'Italia. His lead only half a minute as the peloton tries and hunt him down.
And he believes he's got it.
This is by far the biggest dream that anybody could ever imagine.
After 2 years of retirement, Todd Lodwick returned to the Nordic Combined for one reason.
I knew that it was going to be a very, very hard competition.
To win gold.
And that's going to be it.
I am world champion today.
Universal Sports, home of world champions.
Every 60 seconds, someone, somewhere, is making the switch to Tempur-Pedic. Now, it's your turn. Call now for your free information kit, including a Tempur material sample, along with a DVD and catalog. Traditional mattresses use metal springs that can cause pressure points, causing you to toss and turn. Only the Tempur-Pedic mattress automatically adjusts to your body while keeping your spine in perfect alignment. Plus, because Tempur-Pedic doesn't transfer motion, you won't disturb your partner when you get out of bed or shift positions. Best of all, Tempur-Pedic will let you sleep on one of their sleep systems for an incredible 90 nights before you make your purchase decision. If you want the ultimate in comfort, if you wish to get more sleep but can't, it's time you make the switch to Tempur-Pedic.
Call 1-800-603-9885 for your free information kit. That's 1-800-603-9885. Call today.
So on Masters of Illusion is back. You've never seen magic like this. Death-defying, heart-stopping, reality-twisting, jaw-dropping illusions that will leave you spellbound. Magicians from around the world perform mind-bending tricks you have to see to believe. Incredible escape artists. Sensational sleight of hand experts. And acts both beautiful and bizarre come together on one stage to show off their amazing magic. Open your eyes. Open your mind. Dare to believe. Masters of Illusion. Mondays at 9/8 Central on My Network TV.
Inside of 4K, now left to go to the finish. The first of back-to-back days in the Dolomite Mountains at this year's Giro d'Italia. And this stage 4, 162 kilometers overall from the town of Padua to San Martino di Castrozza. The race has already gone over the Category 2 Croce Down a climb. And now they're on the final kilometers of the 14K climb up to the summit finish at San Martino di Castrozza right now. Jens Voigt desperately clinging to a lead of just under a half minute. The peloton in pursuit. There's Ivan Basso of the Liquigas team. Stefano Garzelli in the red and white of Aqua and Sapone. Thomas Lovquist of the Columbia High Road squad just behind them in the white kit.
And really, I have to say, Liquigas looking very good, because also right in front of Basso with the curly hair, that's all, excuse me, that is Franco Pelizzotti, 4th in the GC last year. He's another guy who's got a good shot at the finish here. So all these guys in the front really sizing it up right now. And Garzelli, he's been riding very smart. Looks like DeLuca on his wheel at this point, or actually maybe behind Lovquist. Those three riders, DeLuca, Lovquist, and Garzelli, been marking each other a lot today. There's a shot of Lance Armstrong. He's starting to slip back just a little bit.
Now Lance half a minute back in the general classification. His first day on a European mountain in a Grand Tour since 2005 when he went over the Col d'Aubisque in the Tour de France. 3K now left to go for Jens Voigt, riding by himself after such a long day with a 25-second lead. That 3K feels a lot longer than just 3 kilometers of road.
Yeah, 3 kilometers. He's going to need a lot more than that to make it happen, as when you have several riders on the front setting the tempo for Basso, they're going to catch him. There's no way he can make it 3 entire kilometers with that small gap. He's going to need more like a minute at this point to hold on.
And the road right now much steeper on this climb than it was earlier in the climb. 14K in overall length, and we are on some of the steepest portions right now as we work our way towards the finish. Lance Armstrong getting up, trying to work his way back near the frontier. Voigt 20 seconds ahead of the peloton, but he's shredding seconds every step of the way.
It looks like there are 3 of the Columbia High Roads at the front as well.
Oh, look at this now.
Oh,
Voigt really in trouble. He's done. He is done. This is it for Jens Voigt.
Crushing for Voigt as he just pulls the plug. He is going to lose 3 minutes.
Oh, look at that. They're going to pass him right here. Jens Voigt is caught inside the final 3 kilometers. He went clear at 14K. With 5 other guys, they stayed away until Jens shed them, and now he gets picked up with just over 2K left to go.
And you look at the body language of these guys on the front, the guys who are known for their climbing strength, they're just ticking the pedals over, nice, smooth cadence, not much movement in the upper body. It's a big contrast to what we saw with Voigt. He was just flogging himself trying to stay in front, and that's not the smoothness that you need on these climbs, but he had to do whatever he could do.
There's Lance once again. Well, big group together now at the front of the race, Todd. A little more than 2K left to go, some pretty steep roads. Are you thinking more attacks coming here, or is a large group going to come to the line now?
There's got to be some attacks. There's got to be people who want to try and test it. We've only seen a couple of tests so far from the field. There needs to be some more. No one wants to just ride this into the finish and slug it out in the last 200 meters. It's a mountaintop finish. You got to test yourself, and you got to test your competitors.
Now Basso well over a minute back on the GC, but riding second wheel at the front of the race right now. Again, 20 seconds for first place, 12 for second, 8 seconds for third. The bonuses at the finish. DeLuca 121 there, just riding out of the top of your frame. And other riders positioning themselves as well, as Lance Armstrong continues to work his way through the field. There's Garzelli, the kit unzipped.
This is still wide open, Steve, as this is really, there's a lot of guys within striking distance here of the overall, not just the stage win, but being in the pink at the end of the day. There's about 40 guys that are within a minute and change in the overall classification. And there's probably another, say, 20 guys that are within striking distance of the jersey here today.
Well, inside of 2K to go now, but one of those unknown elements is if you are one of the GC hopefuls, do you want to be in pink? Do you want to have to defend this early? Do you want to maybe just mark wheels? That's something we don't know. What's going through the head of some of these riders here near the front?
I would say if I'm a Levi Leipheimer in an Italian race, I definitely don't want the jersey right now. If an Italian guy gets it, maybe a little better scenario, but if you're an American, no way. You know, these Italian teams, they're really, really motivated here, and if you're with the Astana team and you're Levi and you take the jersey today, that's going to be very tough. Levi just out of your picture on the right, number 24, but he was still on the
look at this, an attack on the right side of the road for the second time. That is Juan Maurizio Soler of the Barlow World team, and there he goes.
He's flexing it once again. He didn't get anywhere the first time. Let's see if he can do something a little bigger now. Voigt not off the front anymore. Whoa, look at the size of the gap. He is picked up already. Soler putting it down.
And nobody really responding here to the 26-year-old who won stage 9 of the Tour de France. Broke away on the stage across the Col de Galibier. So this is his MO right now. Won the King of the Mountains at that year's Tour de France back in 2007 as well. He's a guy who could steal it.
Well, and you could see the pack from the overhead. It was all strung out as they have responded hard. Liquid Gas driving hard, trying to bring it back. Soler making a big bid for a stage win, though.
No, we're into the final kilometer and a half right now. Soler for the second time trying to explode from the peloton, and now the final K.
Can he make it the final kilometer? Soler, he's a specialist at these uphill finishes. If anybody can do it, Soler is the type of rider.
They're right there, coming around that turn. The peloton can feel him. They can see him. Soler now trying to bury himself and hope for the finish as he goes inside that red kite. 1K to the finish.
And he looks back, and he's still got the gap. Does Soler have what it takes inside the final kilometer? It's liquid gas on the front. Soler looking very, very solid.
We've seen other guys the last few days time it at the finish very well. Soler can't afford to think about the main field, can't afford to look back because that's how close they are. He's got to look straight forward, hope for the finish. He's over 3 minutes back on GC, but he's thinking about the stage win. And now we're inside the 600-meter mark.
And there's no liquid gas left on the front. That looked like the red of Aquin Sapone. It may have been Garzelli on the front. It looked like a white jersey, possibly DeLuca on his wheel. Soler might be able to hold on. It's going to be very tight as he comes into the final meters.
No, after 4 hours in the saddle, Lance Armstrong gets dropped. Lance going backwards here. Soler trying to hang on here. The first mountaintop finish of the Giro, exploding in fireworks in the final kilometer. Lance not a part of the action, however. He's going to lose some time. Soler, though, trying to hang on. He's into the final few hundred meters, waiting for Juan Mauricio Soler. How close is the peloton here?
And that looks like DeLuca, who is leading the chase now. You can see him in the back of the screen. It's DeLuca out of the saddle in the last 200 meters. Garzelli trying to stay on his wheel. DeLuca coming up hard.
Oh, can Soler make it? I don't know. The final 100 meters now, and here comes the killer. What a sprint! A stunning effort by Danilo DeLuca. He's going to pass him, and DeLuca is going to win stage number 4.
What an incredible finale there for Soler trying to hold on, but DeLuca goes by him like he's standing still in the final 100 meters.
And there's going to be some gaps here. You see the clock counting now up to just about 20 seconds, so it's going to take a while to sort things out and see where the GC now stands as you look at the stage winner here today. 33-year-old Danilo DeLuca, the 2007 winner of the Giro d'Italia, a guy who's also won some other prestigious races throughout his career, now the winner of this 4th stage of the 100th anniversary edition.
And this looks like our replay. That's Soler off the front. Look at DeLuca, the speed he's coming up. And he is no way that Soler can hold him off, as Garzelli can't even stay on his wheel. Unbelievable finishing power for Danilo DeLuca. What an incredible win it is.
Oh, the killer hunted down Soler and put the dagger through the heart right there, riding away after 4 hours on his bike to take the first summit finish of the Giro d'Italia.
Back to the top, this is Patrick Deneen of the USA. Oh, beautiful. And he threw the back foot iron cross. Look at this. And this is his signature. Deneen is a speed demon. Wow. Huge off the bottom jump. Patrick Deneen goes into first place, so your world champion, Patrick Deneen of the USA.
A poker tournament is a mind game. It's about knowing when to change gears and sensing that sometimes you just need to get out of the way. Win 1 of 4 all expenses paid trips for 2 to Vegas to play poker against NHL players completely free. Only at the world's largest poker site, PokerStars.net.
America's greatness was not crafted in skyscrapers alone, but on the ground by those who could see what needed to be done. Volunteers who in service stepped forward onto the dust of the moon, the levee in the heartland, the marble steps of a dream. You may ask yourself, where's my moon, my levee, my dream? Well, it's here with you. Step forward. Help renew America at usaservice.org.
Follow Lance Armstrong every day on the Giro d'Italia, only on Universal Sports. We believe in cycling.
And there's the overhead replay of Armstrong as he has been shelled out the back of that lead group in his first Grand Tour in a number of years. And certainly a tough day for him as we'll work our way back up to the front here as they come into that final couple of turns. Soler off the front. It looks like there's De Luca making his move. Garzelli on his wheel in the red. And right on him is the Liquigas rider Pelazzotti. And so they just continue up here. De Luca out of the saddle. Really an incredible burst of speed for a long time here. Garzelli still on his wheel at this point. Pelazzotti is already starting to get dropped. Now Garzelli starting to come off of De Luca's wheel. De Luca, there was absolutely no way anybody could touch him today.
And look at that speed. I mean, it's unreal. The acceleration he had in his legs there at the finish. Over 4 hours on the bike, 162 kilometers, the final 70 of which were more or less uphill. And to still have that kind of speed, that is incredible.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's flogging his team for half of the race on the front, because he really thought he could win today.
Now, spectacular Dolomite scenery. First of back-to-back days in the Dolomites for this year's Giro d'Italia. And we'll take you through the general classification now after 4 days of racing. A few flat days following the team time trial on day number 1. Now our first of 6 summit finishes here. And now the GC has Thomas Lövkvist of the Columbia High Road team as our new leader. He'll put on the pink jersey for the first time. De Luca now 2 seconds back. Levi Leipheimer 26 off the pace. Lance getting dropped there late. He's still inside half a minute. Michael Rogers, Lövkvist's teammate on Columbia High Road. He's only 6 seconds back of his teammate right now. So some very interesting names there, still very much in the picture.
I'm a little surprised to see that Lövkvist gets the jersey because there was definitely a gap there and they basically gave all those guys at the front the same time. I should have thought De Luca would take the pink today.
Well, De Luca got the 22nd time bonus for winning the stage. He's now 2 seconds back of Lövkvist on the GC. He wins the day as the 33-year-old who's won other races like Amstel Gold, Flèche Wallonne, Liège-Bastogne-Liège during the course of his career. And of course, 2 years ago, the winner of this Giro d'Italia.
He's come back with some fine form here, and boy, that makes it 3 days in a row for LPR breaks, with Pataki going back-to-back, and now the killer, Danilo De Luca. And boy, looking at those replays of him, you can see why they call him that. He just slaughtered everybody.
And coming into the Giro, not a lot of people were talking about the strength of this team. Everybody was focusing on Astana and Liquigas and Garmin's Slipstream, and LPR Brakes wasn't even really much in the discussion in terms of depth and overall strength of the various teams, but here they are taking 3 stages in a row.
Well, I think that this team knows that they had to strike early, get some stage wins, go for the overall leader's jersey early, because he doesn't think that he can hold it all the way. If he does, I think he's kidding himself. I don't think this man at the end of this race on May 31st can be in the pink jersey.
Well, still a lot of snow on top of the mountains up in the Dolomites. Mentioned earlier that it was a record year for snowfall in this region. As you look back, it's still on the course. Alessandro Pataki, who will surrender that pink jersey when he crosses the line, almost 18 minutes back right now.
Well, he certainly already has heard in his radio that his teammate has won the day. He knows that he's just 2 seconds out of taking the pink jersey. Probably a little bittersweet in that because it was so close that I would have thought they would have. When there's gaps like that, they usually don't give them the same time. And we'll have to look at that one more time. Maybe they'll make a change in that between today and tomorrow.
Now here's our new overall race leader, 25-year-old Swede Thomas Lövkvist of the Columbia High Road team. Now he's the former Swedish national road and time trial champion.
And as they said going into this, Bob Stapleton talked with him before dinner a couple of nights ago. He said, well, we'll see how Lundqvist fares. He's kind of a guy we're going to wait and see, but he's one of these guys who can do it all. And if he's climbing well, we know he can time trial. He's definitely a threat.
Now he became the youngest Swedish professional road racer ever when he started his career at the age of 19 back in 2004. Now at 25 years of age, one of Columbia High Road's leading men, along with Konstantin Sitsov and also Michael Rogers. So this Columbia High Road team, multiple options for the GC, and now they not only have the win as a team in the team time trial on day one, they have the overall race lead right now with the pink jersey after also having Mark Cavendish in the pink jersey for a couple of days. And now having a little trouble with the champagne. You can tell he's new at this.
That's kind of a rough deal for him, but he got the champagne popped anyways. And you could hear the crowd really upset with the fact that that cork broke off. And boy, he's drinking a lot of that, isn't he?
Now you got to soak it in. You take the Maglia Rosa like this in the 100th anniversary edition. You deserve your moment in the spotlight. And then you start to ask yourself, how long can we make this last? And the pink jersey that's about to be transferred is coming across the line. Alessandro Patacchi, winner of the last 2 days, bringing a huge group to the finish, almost 20 minutes behind our winner, Danilo De Luca.
And look at this. This is sort of a professional courtesy as they cross the line with him on the front, as they just say, look, we appreciate you. You're a great champion. We're all way down. There's no places left. Let's let him come to the line in the front. A little bit proud for what he's done the last couple days.
Well, another day in the Dolomites coming up tomorrow. How about Columbia's ability to now defend the pink jersey? We know they have a strong team.
I think that tomorrow is going to be a little different than today. I think that there's going to be a lot more pressure if we see once again De Luca with an unbelievable burst the last few hundred meters, a long sprint for him to win that. But I think tomorrow's going to unfold differently. I don't think we're going to have such a big group coming to the line.
Danilo De Luca, the 33-year-old, wins the stage with a terrific sprint in the final few hundred meters. But it's Thomas Lundqvist, the 25-year-old Swede, who is now our overall leader and the holder of the Maglia Rosa after 4 days in the Giro d'Italia. Now for Todd Gogulski, I'm Steve Schlanger. We'll see you back here for Stage 5 tomorrow as the race continues in the Dolomites.